Hey guys, I am creating another video so that we can go more in depth about stories and how we create them. This time I'm going to give you more of a visual. So before we get into the visual of how we create stories, I just want to explain something really quick. So the way that our brain is wired and the way that human beings live their lives is when an event happens in our life and it feels like a failure or it doesn't feel good, we relive that over and over and over again as if it continues to happen. That's the nature of human suffering. That is the concept of living in the past. Because we have a really hard time letting go, especially when it's a really strong emotion that comes up when that event happens. So here is my little whiteboard, and you see that I have two circles here. This circle is the what happened, but this is our state of being, our big self. The big self is the part of us that overcomes events and situations, that can let go and not live in the past, to live in the present moment. The higher self has the integrity, keeps their word, doesn't make assumptions, lives their full potential, doesn't let life overwhelm them. And this circle is the ego. The ego is the other part of us that tells us that we're bad and wrong, sabotages, feels guilty, feels jealousy, all of those emotions that doesn't feel good. And up here is the story. And the reason why the ego is under the story is because the ego is just full of story, full of the meanings that we put on things. So I'm going to use the same examples that I did on the earlier video. What happened in my life was I got a sad face on my paper and my twin sister got a happy face. That happened one time. And even if it happened more than one time, in that very first moment, we decided something about ourselves. And we created the story, or I created the story that I was stupid. So it happened one time. I created the story that I was stupid. And then from that moment on, for about 28 years, I lived the story that I was stupid. Then my grandpa pulled up my shirt to look at my scars to see who was who. That happened one time. In that moment, I decided that I was different. And even if he did this every single time I saw him, it kept feeding into my story that I'm different. So I kept proving myself right. Human beings are very righteous. We always want to be right, even when it's something about ourselves. So then I navigated my world through I'm stupid and I'm different. Then I got a hysterectomy. I created the story that I am broken. I only got the hysterectomy one time. Thank God. So now I am navigating the world, approaching problems, relationships, making choices, all through the lens of I'm stupid, I'm different, and I'm broken. So you can imagine the suffering that I went through for quite some time and why I started this work. The big self, our higher self, is compassionate, loving, caring, energetic, alive, motivated, fearless. I mean, there's so many words I can keep going on, but that's just a little more of an explanation of what the higher self is. The ego is selfish, sabotaging, feels guilty, jealous, self-absorbed. And the list can go on and on and on. But I just wanted to give you more clarity of what I meant by bigger self and the ego. So going back to what happened, What happened is just an event, and because we don't understand why that event happened, we put a meaning on it. And just keep in mind that when we create stories, it's not just about our childhood. We are creating stories all the time. If our significant other does something that doesn't feel good to us, that event happened, and then we make it mean something. We make a story about it. And if that event happens again and again, then it just feeds our story that we are right about this. So something happens, and then we make it mean that. And then something happens again, and we make it mean that. And then something happens again, and we make it mean that. This is the vicious cycle that we go through. Something happens, and we make it mean this. And the important thing to realize is this is our true selves. We are compassionate, loving, caring. We are not selfish, sabotaging. We're only this because we're stuck in this. We get so stuck in this that we don't even know this part of us. We don't know that it exists. This is who we think we are. But this is actually not true. This is who we really are. And so when you start doing this self-development work, you can deconstruct all of this. And then you start to feel more of this. And I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to do. It's hard, it's challenging, it can be really painful. But when you start doing this, it does get easier. And life becomes happier. And you become more confident because you're spending more of your time here in your true self and less time here in your ego. If we were here all the time, we would be enlightened. And we're all human beings, and we are flawed. We probably are not going to get here in our lifetime, but we can spend more time here. The more you can start living your life, even when there's fear there or resistance, because now you understand what this is, because you know that you're actually this. If you have any questions about that or any concerns, just shoot me a text and I will get back to you as soon as possible.